Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this plenary session. It's a delight to be here. This is an incredibly important session, and in my year as president, it has become more and more apparent how important this topic is. The provocation, that's, I didn't mean that word, but it was Black Lives Matter last year that provoked the conversation. The Royal College of Surgeons of England have had the Baroness Kennedy report, and my observation as a white male with a lack of emotional intelligence is that people are beginning to talk about equality and diversity in a much more open fashion, and we are learning from each other what it really means. I am absolutely delighted that the SCTS is taking on this agenda and leading with it. I hope this is a useful session. I'm very grateful for Narain as Honorary Secretary putting this at the forefront of our strategy, which was backed at the annual business meeting with 100% backing from all the attendees. And I welcome the panel that we've got. Debbie Harrington, aortic surgeon at Liverpool, Liz Belcher, thoracic surgeon at Oxford, Farah Bhatti, cardiac surgeon at Swansea, and recently awarded the OBE for her work on equality and diversity. So I'll hand over to Farah, and I look forward to lots of questions at the end when we've gone through our 3 talks, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President, and thank you for giving me the honour of introducing our first speaker. I'm delighted that after years of work behind the scenes, that the SCTS is really making great progress in the arena equality, diversity and inclusion, spearheaded by Narain Moorjani, who's one of our co-hosts. And we have finally, the Women in Cardiothoracic Surgery group has come to fruition, and it's led ably by Karen Booth. And I think all the members, which includes all aspects of the surgical and paramedical team and people of all grades and backgrounds, and they're being introduced in the bulletin, as I said. The committee has already started working, getting to work, and they've launched their mentorship scheme, and the successful people will be starting next month, and that's called Lift as You Climb. So as part of this, we wanted a Women in Cardiothoracic session at the meeting, and so it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for the inaugural Women in Cardiothoracic Surgery lecture. Brigadier Nikki Moffat, our keynote speaker, CBE, was the most senior woman in the British Army with a career spanning some 26 years. She's had many roles during that time, including being head of the Armed Forces HQ and also spending some time at the Ministry of Defence. She has a wide portfolio, and her real thrust of her work is values-based leadership. And I have to mention that we're very grateful to Edwards, and particularly Sally Crosby and Andrew Carroll, for helping support this session and being able to sponsor Brigadier Moffat to speak to us. And I'm sure we're going to learn lots from her thoughts and insights into diversity, and her talk is entitled SCTS at Ease. Please note that she has also kindly agreed to do a podcast that's run by Karen Tula, so do look out for that.
Talk, and very sobering and also inspirational. Farah, have you got any words before we introduce Narain?
Just a couple of things. I suppose the take-home message is that it's everybody's business, and it's about inclusion, and that everybody in a leadership position at whatever level you are has to be part of the breaking down of barriers. So I thought those take-home messages were amazing. And I don't know, Elizabeth and Debbie, if there are any comments from the participants.
We've got a couple of comments really to echo those thoughts, I think. So we've got one here saying, I think we should be humble to recognise that others have more to add to our narrow view of the world, and that will add strength to our team rather than just look at inclusiveness as an issue of fairness. And then another one, what an inspiring presentation, thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much, Deborah. And Simon, are you going to introduce our next speaker?
Yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce Narain. He's our Honorary Secretary. He is a full-time cardiac surgeon at Papworth Hospital as well and clinical lead. And we are all in awe of how he achieves what he does. He does everything with excellence. He has specifically taken on this agenda and is leading it with you all. And he has a prepared talk, and then we can do questions and answers. But on a personal level and for the society, Narain, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk about some of the initiatives that the SCTS are introducing in relation to equality, diversity and inclusion in cardiothoracic surgery. This presentation is actually very timely with the recent release of the independent review on diversity and inclusion from the Royal College of Surgeons in England, published by Baroness Helena Kennedy, and the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities Review, published by Tony Saul on behalf of the government. Equality, diversity and inclusion may mean many different things to different individuals, which may or may not relate to their background or experiences that they've encountered. But I thought it would be important to define what it means to the SCTS to set the context of the strategy that we'll be employing moving forward, where equality represents the rights of different groups of people to have a similar social position and receive the same treatment. Diversity represents the involvement of different types of people in a group or organization. And inclusion represents honoring, respecting, embracing, and valuing the unique contributions and perspectives of all individuals and removing barriers to individual success. Optimizing diversity and inclusion in cardiothoracic surgery is a priority, not just because it is the right thing to do morally, but also because of the returns it brings in terms of the quality of care for patients, as well as the health and well-being of the staff delivering this care. Numerous studies have shown the benefits of correcting the diversity gap leads to improved patient care, and patients report improved satisfaction associated with this. Another reason is the concept of cognitive diversity, which is where individuals from different backgrounds come together to bring different experiences to optimize problem solving, and is very important in a specialty such as cardiothoracic surgery. And finally, having an inclusive specialty will attract competitive candidates from a diverse population and enhance the reputation of the specialty. Before discussing the initiatives that we are planning on introducing, it is important to understand some of the barriers that exist to developing a diverse workforce. Some of these have been highlighted in the Kennedy report and include work-life balance pertaining to both men and women, underrepresentation of mentors and role models, which is especially important as studies have shown that access to mentors who represent an individual's respective background would nearly double their interest in the specialty. Lack of exposure to cardiothoracic surgery for those from a diverse background. Unconscious bias, which is social stereotypes about certain groups of people that individuals form outside one's own conscious awareness. And finally, nepotism, where friends, family, or like-minded individuals are favored, therefore producing an environment that prevents inclusion and diversity. Although the society has a strategy to try and develop an inclusive specialty, we have to recognize that we all live in a complex environment where a multi-level approach is required to tackle the issues that exist. This includes at societal level, which represents the global environment where cardiothoracic surgery can learn from changes that are taking place around us. At a cardiothoracic community level, where professional societies such as the SCTS need to provide a leadership role to develop a vision that supports a diverse workforce and promotes inclusion and respect of all individuals. At an institutional level, which includes hospital trusts and medical schools, who the SCTS need to work with to develop sustainable programs that promote the same values. And finally, at the individual level, where all of us present here today and within the specialty need to assess our own personal conduct, including unconscious biases, and become advocates for diversity and inclusion with the multidisciplinary teams that we work with in the operating room, in clinical practice, and also through education. And this needs to be promoted by all and not just those affected. It is important to note that each of these spheres of influence are interconnected, and interventions to improve diversity must be coordinated across these different spheres to achieve a concerted change. So whilst advancing diversity and inclusion within cardiothoracic surgery is a daunting endeavour, It is important that we take on this challenge for the greater good and the potential benefits. The first step is in the society's strategy is to understand members' views and experiences that they have had with diversity and inclusion. To achieve this, we have launched an anonymous equality and diversity survey, which many of you may have already completed, but I would strongly encourage those who haven't to do so, as we'd very much like to hear your views. From this, we are hoping to get an understanding of the baseline demographics of the workforce in cardiothoracic surgery, the issues that exist in the specialty, and how members feel the SCTS can contribute to this agenda. And then on to some of the initiatives that we have or will be undertaking in the near future. Firstly, to increase opportunities to encourage those from all backgrounds to consider cardiothoracic surgery as a career. These include student engagement events that the SCTS has successfully been running over the past few years, where medical students and sixth formers attend to get a greater insight of a career in cardiothoracic surgery. As part of the application process, hosting medical schools are encouraged to reach out to schools in local areas of social deprivation to encourage them to consider cardiothoracic surgery as a career choice. The SCTS also has an active presence at the careers fairs, such as those run by the Royal Society of Medicine, Association of Surgeons in Training, and British Medical Association, allowing us to promote a career in cardiothoracic surgery to a wider audience. In addition, the Society provides bursaries and travel scholarships for medical students to increase their accessibility to exposure to cardiothoracic surgery, both nationally and internationally. And then finally, through work experience programs, where the SCTS is planning to further expand the student outreach program, where sixth formers from areas of social deprivation are given a 2-week work experience placement at their local cardiothoracic units and the opportunity to witness cardiothoracic surgery at first hand, which for some is truly a life-changing experience. At the moment, this only happens in a few units around the country, but the SCTS are developing an infrastructure that will encourage all units to offer this opportunity. In addition, we are planning to increase opportunities and provide support for career progression for women in cardiothoracic surgery. The SCTS has recently launched its Women in Cardiothoracic Surgery Mentorship program, which is an opportunity for female medical students or early-stage female surgeons who are aspiring for a career in cardiothoracic surgery to develop a mentoring relationship with a female cardiothoracic surgical trainee or clinical fellow. And similarly, for female cardiothoracic surgical trainees and clinical fellows to develop a mentoring relationship with a female consultant cardiothoracic surgeon. This program will allow the mentee to gain support and advice on a number of areas. As part of the program, the Society will also be running its inaugural Women in Cardiothoracic Surgery networking session later at this annual meeting. And in addition, the Society has also recently set up a Women in Cardiothoracic Surgery working group to further develop the initiatives to support this program. Similarly, we are developing a program to increase opportunities and provide support for career progression for the trust-appointed doctors who provide the backbone of care given to patients undergoing cardiothoracic surgery. This will include a trust-appointed doctors mentorship program to provide guidance and advice, further enhancing the SCTS education program for trust-appointed doctors, including exam revision courses, as well as courses on guidance obtaining Article 14, applying for consultant posts, as well as consultant interview practice. In addition, we are planning to increase training and operative opportunities for trust-appointed doctors, which we'll hear more on at the plenary session tomorrow, but to stress this is not at the expense of training opportunities for NTNs. In addition, we're planning to commission articles for the bulletin and the SCTS website from those who have faced issues related to equality and diversity and on how to overcome these challenges. We also want to encourage appropriate diversity of the position of responsibilities within the SCTS. And although the Society has made great strides from the composition of the leadership roles over the past 10 years, as can be seen with the diversity of the current executive, it appreciates that more progress can and should be done. And finally, we want to ensure that the SCTS policy and documentation reflects the Society's position on equality, diversity, and inclusion, including that attributable to unconscious bias. So whilst we strive to make a better working environment for those from all backgrounds in cardiothoracic surgery, we are very conscious of avoiding positive discrimination, so not to disadvantage those who are not from a protected background. In preference, we are seeking to develop a program of positive action by bringing about an equality of opportunities where we support and encourage all cardiothoracic surgical practitioners to evolve. This was highlighted by the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities review by Tony Sewell, published for the government, which suggested that recommendations should, wherever possible, be designed to remove obstacles for everyone rather than specific groups. And so even though the Kennedy report has highlighted the SCTS as a positive example with some of the initiatives that we are undertaking, we understand that there is still much work to be done and that there are many other groups and issues that still need to be addressed, but felt this would be a good starting point. So whilst I am standing here outlining some of the initiatives that the SCTS are taking moving forward, it would not be possible without the great support of many, including the SCTS Executive, the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Working Group and the Women in Cardiothoracic Surgery Working Group, which we have set up recently, the Trust Appointed Doctors Education Team and Student Education Team, and most importantly, the SCTS members, as we all have a role to play in supporting this important agenda moving forward. I will leave you with a quote: "Change will not occur until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are." I want to thank you all for your support in moving this agenda forward, and would value the opportunity to answer any of your questions now or to a later date. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. We're just waiting for Farah and Debbie and Elizabeth to come back. Excellent. Lorraine, thank you very much for that talk. It outlines what we're doing. Farah, can I hand over to you, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Simon. Lorraine, just to reiterate what Simon has said, it's great to have good intentions and talk the talk, but really, I've not known you for a long time, but you really are walking the walk, and you've got a great team behind you. And I think the way you've developed and looked at all areas, not just gender, but the support you're giving to SAS doctors and actually trying to almost institutionalize good practice. So I think, and I was delighted to give a good word for SCTS in the independent review panel. So I think we owe you a lot of thanks. There's lots of great work going on. I don't know, Debbie or Liz, if you want to say anything.
We've got a few messages posted on the chat, which I'll just read out a couple of them. Some of them are, there's a question: do we have any results yet of the recent survey? As far as I'm aware, I think the survey's still out. I don't know.
It's still out. I filled mine in.
Yeah, so Debbie, the closing date and Farah, the closing date is the 18th of May, and as I mentioned in the video, I would strongly encourage those who haven't completed it to do so, because to allow us to drive our agenda and set our agenda moving forward, we need to know what is going out there and the important issues for the members. So please fill in the survey. It's on our new website.
And I think actually I've just been scrolling through to look at the number of attendees, and I noticed that we do have a good hundreds of attendees here, and I noticed also that we've got a very diverse spectrum. So I think that's a really good start. As well. There's just a couple of other comments. So we've got another comment here: we should not only widen the access to medicine in general and cardiothoracic surgery in particular, but bring it closer to the disadvantaged, marginalised and hard to reach groups by actively going into those communities rather than waiting for them to come to us.
So to answer that specifically, that is what our student outreach programme is about. It's about us going to them, because we need to open their eyes to say cardiothoracic surgery is a career that is a potential for them. And that is, I think I even put that as the first tenet of our strategy. And I think that is crucial. We need to show them what the opportunities are and break down the barriers to allow them in.
Absolutely, and Deborah, if I can come in there, the student committee for SCTS in Sync has really been strengthened. We've got a new committee, and they have all sorts of specific roles, including not just quality diversity and medical school links, but actual widening participation agenda. So it's really, we are really keen to get out and reach people who don't have the normal routes of access because their parents are doctors or what have you. So that is very much on our agenda as well, for student engagement. Thank you, Deborah.
Can I just come in as Lorraine's last quote really strikes with me. Having had the privilege of being a tall white male, it was something I didn't appreciate, but I now understand that the advantage that may have given me. And I'm beginning to try and understand this agenda. And there's two examples I'd like to share with you all. One is that when the Baroness Kennedy report was discussed at the RCS English Council, it was humbling to hear the experiences of the women and the colleagues from ethnic backgrounds and what they'd been through. And it was awful to hear. But equally, I did not enjoy hearing every white male say they agreed with the findings of the Baroness Kennedy report and then use the word but. And that's exactly what Nikki Moffat referred to in her talk as well. And for us as white men, we've got to stop using that but word at the end. And you know, another second thing that occurred recently is we had a meeting yesterday with two colleagues, and we were asked by the students what was the best thing and worst thing about cardiothoracic surgery, and the two ladies and myself, we all agreed the best thing was doing these wonderful operations and making a big difference to people's lives. The worst thing for me was working with people with a lack of insight and not understanding the effect they were having on the teams. But for my two colleagues, the worst part was being the lone female and not being part of the male group. And that was awful to hear. So I think the conversations have started and we are learning from each other about what this really means. And thank you for letting me share those comments.
Okay, thank you very much, Simon. I think it just remains for me to say thank you to both our speakers, Brigadier Moffat and to Narayana, Honorary Secretary. It's great to see, I think that last count there were 143 people listening, great diverse, not just women and everybody from all parts of our society and membership. And I think we're on our road, on our way. So we just need to stay focused. So thank you very much and enjoy the next session. And thanks again to Edwards for sponsoring Brigadier Moffat. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.